over the line for Monday, January 23rd, 2023. It is that man right there, Tracy Jeff.
I got one thing to say.
What's that?
How about them Cowboys?
Going to be a long hour or so talking about the Cowboys.
You know what? I had
they
trouble
crushed my
sleeping
heart.
last
They
night.
broke my, I got to let you see this. This is a quote that I found on the internet, if I can find it quick. And I think I agree with this guy for the first time in my life after yesterday's Cowboy game. Read below, if you can. It will be coming real quick.
Oh, boy.
First time I've agreed with Skip Bayless ever. Never wanted a game more than I wanted that one. My soul is crushed. They crushed me too, Skip. They crushed me. I can't believe it. Dallas Cowboys go down to the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of other games over the weekend that we got to talk about. I was sad to see Jackson. It's like every team I picked over the weekend lost. Everyone.
I was only concerned about one. And you know the one I was concerned with.
I know. And I was really sad to see that they lost. But I was really hoping. I was hoping Philadelphia was going to get knocked off. Then the Cowboys beat 49ers. Then they go in and they beat the Giants, and they're in the Super Bowl. I saw it. I could see it. It was happening. And then, of course, Philadelphia won.
Yeah.
And then it looked a little bit tougher. And then the Dallas game happened, and it was crushing. I mean, I was trying to figure it out, what was going on. And we'll get to it, but I'm disappointed. I know you're disappointed. But you held, for the last, since we started back, you said, hey, I'm not getting all hung up on this because until they're in the championship game, then I'll believe.
Yep.
And then if they won, then you really were going to believe. So
exactly. If today was a victory Monday, man, Dak has rewritten his whole playoff, and he's rewritten the narrative of his career. So here we sit Monday, and we're back where we started.
Before we get into the whole Dallas game, big question to start out today. Take all your personal fandom about the Cowboys. Who has the bigger loss over the weekend? The Cowboys or the Bills?
I say the Bills just because of the expectations.
I
had them going, and they have a home game in the snow. And Joe Burrow, whose window is open as long as he's playing.
Right.
I like him. I really do.
They're comparing him, a lot of the sports talk this morning, comparing him to Brady. Maybe. But I don't know. That guy's – I know Brady has that edge when he's yelling at his players and all that kind of stuff. But I don't see Burrow doing the yelling.
I don't see Burrow doing the yelling. And I actually think he talks a little more trash than Brady.
Right. I
love it. I did not like him at LSU. And
that's just because you don't like LSU, though.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
But
we've debated the transfer portal. But he is a positive product of the transfer portal. Sitting the bench at Ohio State, enters the portal, goes to LSU, wins the national championship. Go Tigers! We knows you're wrong. Then he goes into NFL with his boy Jamar Chase.
And
he's killing it. I know.
No matter what anybody says, to have your wide receiver from your college days to come with you to Cincinnati, that's huge. Yep. Huge. You can't look at it any other way because they are on the same book. Every time something is happening, they're on the same page, and it is incredible how he finds him.
It is uncanny, and it goes back to, like you were saying, in the college days. Because you know what? You'll make a call in the huddle. Chances are that's not going to be the first thing that happens. You improvise.
Right.
And that relationship is a product of going all the way back to college. And it's beautiful to watch, like you can debate the interceptions that Dak threw, if it was on a receiver, if he forced it in. I will say that first pick, when he was going to Gallup, it sure looked like Gallup was doing something on that route. At the top of the route, he stuttered. And I think he was supposed to make that first move. And that's where Dak put the ball. I'm not excusing it, but something weird happened on that route.
But he went like flat foot after he tried to make the move. He kind of went flat foot to where he couldn't become the defensive back, even if he wanted to. He would have never been able to defend that ball.
And looking at that route, if Michael Gallup makes the first move, that's where the ball is. And it's a completion. Right. For whatever reason, there was some sort of stutter. Would have Amari Cooper done that? We don't know, because guess where Amari Cooper is?
He's in Cleveland.
Not playing.
But the Cowboys, horrible game. I thought the defense played well. And
they played lights out.
They did have at the end a little bit of, maybe they're just tired, whatever happened there. But throughout the game, and of course, a Micah Parsons defense is going to have that lift just because of him. But everybody played well. That whole front played well. We talked about it on the phone on Friday, that the key for Dallas was to get pressure on Mr. Irrelevant, and they did that.
They did. And you cannot constantly put your defense in a bind by creating turnovers on offense. It's a bend, don't break mentality, and they broke. I mean, I was mad because we didn't get a stop. I was pissed that Trayvon Diggs didn't absolutely lay the wood on George Kittle. But then McCaffrey seals the deal with the touchdown. And then, oh my goodness, the Raging Cajun, Elijah Mitchell, he ran the ball hard.
He ran hard. You should be proud of that.
I'm very proud of that. But our defense was worn down. Yeah. I don't blame them, because our quarterback, that's my quarterback, put us in that position. It was a winnable game. We had 6 points off of turnovers, which, okay, we gave them 6 points. It could have been way worse, but our defense bailed us out. But I had that feeling in the first half, okay, Dak's thrown his picks. They've only scored 6 points off of them. We can do this. And we didn't do it. We didn't capitalize on turnovers.
The turnover on special teams was huge, not getting a score, not getting 6. That was tough. That was a big one. I think they could have switched it there, and I also believe that they could have carried some momentum if Diggs hits or at least taps the ball away from Kittle on his circus catch. I think those 2 plays could have changed momentum easily.
And you've seen a lot of football. I had a feeling it was going to come down to one play to break the game open. And that one play, in my opinion, of course, was George Kittle's reception. I'm like, you know what? That's a mojo moment. McCarthy talks about mojo moments. That was definitely a mojo moment for the 49ers. And we just didn't play well. I was
going to try to go to Saturday's games, but now we're going to keep talking. I just want to show you just a couple of, before you go on, about Dak. I just want you to hear this again, because if he's not sounding, I don't know, he sounds a lot like a coach, But take a listen to this if it works here.
Can't happen. And the number that has gotten to is ridiculous. And I can promise that the number will never be this again. I can promise that.
Did you think even with 3 minutes to go still you had a chance?
1,000%. 1,000%. When you prepare the way we do, and you put in all the work that we have and time that we have, especially for those situations, up until even the last play when we're getting in our pitch it around mode, you've got hope. Things that, as I said, that we've put in time and effort into, and I I like being in those positions. I just wasn't able to get anything going.
Jack Todd Archer of ESPN, this is the third time you have been to this round and unable to advance. What has to happen for you guys to take that next step to get to the championship round and go on further?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to play better than I did tonight. Simple as that. Yeah, simple as that. I mean, they're all independent. Can't take one from the other or think about that. But all I can think about is right now in this game and how disappointed it is, how disappointed I am in my play, how disappointed I am for the guys in the locker room who played their asses off, and we weren't able to get it done.
Dak Prescott after the game. And before we get into talk about all that, I want you to hear this one too. So
you would know how proud I am of these guys in here. That's a good team. We, frankly, turnovers do settle the scores with games like that. And I'm so disappointed for our fans. And this felt good. This felt good today. Felt good with the team. But San Francisco had something to say about that. But we've got a locker room full of sick players and coaches to go along with literally hundreds of thousands of Cowboy fans that are sick.
So there you go.
Jerry's
Cowboys.
sick. I'm sick about it. I mean, I'm sick for the Cowboys fans.
The poor
Jerry.
guy's sick. He's just sick, Tracy.
Jerry, what are you doing,
sick.
Jerry?
He's sick. That's what he is.
He is definitely bipolar in that he fires a coach after you win 2 Super Bowls,
Right.
but then hangs on to coaches too long that don't win Super Bowls. What is it, Jerry? Which one's it going to be? You know, I mean,
So
it's utterly frustrating because 30 years, okay? Coaches, players, what's the constant? We've always talked about that. And that's what's frustrating right now, being a Cowboys fan, as we sit. So many levels of frustration. Jerry Jones, Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy. We pretty much know that Dan Quinn's gone. He's out. He's leaving. I'd leave. Hell, and I'd take all the coaches with me. Kellen Moore needs to be fired. Somebody needs to pay. But guess what? Jerry's not going to do crap. He's just going to sit there. Well, Neil, we had a good team, and we're gonna run it back next year. You know what the definition of insanity is, right? Doing the same shit
over.
and expecting a different result. Maybe Jerry's insane. I don't know.
See, this is the thing I think that has to happen. And I think now it's going in the same way in Green Bay because people are hateful over Rodgers. Today, people are hateful over Dak Prescott. And it's the same situation, basically. Dak's not playing up to par, and Rodgers didn't play up to par. People don't care that we got a 4-time MVP. They don't care about that. They don't care about the winning. They want to win Super Bowls. I do too. I would love to have Super Bowls, more than 2 in the last 30 years because of the quarterback play we had. But 2 different players, Dak and Aaron, 2 totally different players. And I say Dallas has to think about cutting the cord. Just be done with it. And yes, it's going to be a hit. Just like
will it be a hit?
It's going to be a hit. It's going to be $40 million, a little bit less than that probably. But Dak is not the future. He's not. No matter what way you look. He looked great against that Tampa game, but 2 different teams, Tampa and San Francisco. Defensively, I mean, it's incredible. And plus, Brady didn't play worth crap. So, but I think you have to look. I mean, I'm almost done. Question for you. San Francisco, don't you believe, proved that they don't have to pay a quarterback $40 million.
Right.
So why not? And I'm just saying this. I'm not trying to be funny. Why not put Cooper Rush in there for 1 or 2 years? Because I think it's 3 years from this year. there's like a really good quarterback group coming out in college. It's going to be pretty stacked. Now we all know that next year or two, one or two could come out depending on where their draft stock is. But it's supposed to be a pretty good one. So why not play Cooper Rush, who is a lot like Purdy when it comes to it, because he's not going to try to do too much. He proved that when he played. So why not just take the hit? And it's almost like I'm saying the same thing with the Packers. If you believe that Aaron Rodgers can't win, if you believe that Aaron Rodgers needs to go, and you need to start Jordan Love like they got rid of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers started, then do it. Then find the trade partner. If it's Seattle, if it's New York, whatever it might be. Could be Dallas. Never know. But find that partner and then get Jordan Love going and move on. And that's why I'm saying with Cooper Rush, why not do that if you've already seen San Francisco plug and play? Because Dallas, if they can keep that nucleus on defense, we both know that defense is good. So if you can keep that nucleus, I think that's the way to go. Cooper Rush for 2 years and see what happens. I think we'd all be surprised.
The problem is Cooper Rush put enough on tape that he's going to get a starting job somewhere.
But he's not going to get the $20 million.
He'll get enough. I think he wants the shot to be a number one. And so once again, there won't be change. Cooper Rush is going to be gone.
But
Dak Prescott stays.
Wouldn't you want to give Cooper $10 million a year, 10 to 12, and then get rid of the Dak contract? Now, you're not going to be able to trade Dak on that contract. Dak's going to have to come to life and figure that out. Or Dak walks away, maybe. Maybe he does walk away. I don't know. Some are saying that he walks away, but I don't think he does.
I don't think so. I love Dak. I love him as a person. I think he's a great teammate. I mean, I'm not saying that because I play with him. No, I don't play with him. But in that locker room. But for some reason, it's not translating to his play on the field. I want Dak to be successful because of his story and who he is. But I don't think Dak goes anywhere because he's still got 2 years left on his contract. He'll be a free agent after 24. That might be what happens because you talked about them being a crop of quarterbacks coming in.
Yeah.
Maybe they play out Dak's contract for 2 years. You got a 2-year window. If I'm Jerry, Dak, you got 2 years left on your contract. I want you to win me a Super Bowl before I die. And if we don't, you're gone. Jerry won't do that. Jerry has lost his, I guess he's lost his balls. Because he was flinging them around in the 90s.
But Jerry's got to also know now, Tracy, that he's not the young boy anymore to run this team as the GM and hope they win the Super Bowl before he dies. I think he's got to start thinking that way too. And this might be the year that he says, all right, we got to figure this out.
You know what? Every year is this. Every year we go back to the same thing. We look at what's the constant. And everyone says Jerry needs to step down. Jerry needs to decrease his role. Let Steven kind of take over. It's so old and tiring to say the same crap every year, you know?
Right.
And that's what I felt last night. I went to bed thinking, another disappointing loss in the playoffs to the same team we lost to last season in almost the same fashion. I would venture to say that last play, the only positive that came out of the game last night was the last play last night was actually dumber than the last play we had last season. So, hey, Dak, congratulations. You wiped that memory clean.
Right.
Now we have another stupid play. Hey, I guarantee you this. Zeke Elliott won't be playing for the Dallas Cowboys next year at center.
Got blown up.
Dude, come on.
That was.
serious.
Tom says, we're at that same thing. Trade Dak or Rodgers saga. Trade to Seahawks. They're talking like 4 draft picks. This is for. I was telling you this early on the phone about how the talk is the Rodgers going to Seattle. Now, do they do that? Yes, I believe a team that is close, okay, that is close to winning, they do that. Like a Tampa was a couple of years ago when they brought Brady in. If they're close, you go ahead and you trade your next. I think Seattle has 2 picks, 5 and 12 this in April. So you trade those 2 picks and you trade, a couple of like maybe a 1 and a 3 and Rodgers goes. All right. I don't think there's a player involved though. I don't see what they need from Seattle in the deal. I don't see it because you get those 2 draft picks. And I think those draft picks, if it was Seattle, because I think Rodgers would play in Seattle because Pete Carroll still has a heck of a defense. They got some good young guys in the offensive line, which Rodgers likes protection. He needs that. So I think that is, and of course, to be hooked up with, what's his face?
Metcalf. Yeah, he's a beast.
He's a beast. So I think that would be enticing for Rodgers to go. Now, the Packers, what do they get in that? Well, they get the number 5 pick and the number 12, I believe. Maybe it's top 10 and right after 10. So, of course, they'll at that point get probably the offensive lineman tackle they need and also the wide receiver to go along with Christian Watson. So, immediately they get better. Okay? They get better. So, that could be a possibility.
Are you better with Love?
I think we'll be okay with Love. I think Love's ready to start. But where I was going to go with this is, say Dallas finds a place for Dak, that somebody wants Dak. Now, I don't know what team, okay? What do you get for Dak after his performance this year? What do you get for him? Seriously.
You want to say stock up, stock down. It's definitely down, but I just don't see Dallas moving on Dak. They're not going to. They're too loyal. If anybody gets cut, or not cut, but fired, Kellen Moore. And you want to talk stock up, stock down. Kellen Moore's stock is way down because he interviewed or is going. I think he's interested in that Carolina Panthers job. There's some mutual interest there. I don't know because there was some pretty crappy play calling. One of the things going into the game that San Francisco struggled with was quarterbacks on the run. I don't think they rolled Dak out enough. And the Pollard injury, that was rough. But Dak had as many yards rushing as Zeke.
I think
if you can believe that.
I think what showed up yesterday with Dak, another thing, and I don't think Dak had this. I mean, if you go back and look at his profile, that quarterback draw, whatever they were trying to go with on the 4-yard line there, it really showed that his quickness is not there. He's not able to do that type of play.
I mean, he's not a Lamar Jackson fast.
He's 40. That's what they listed.
But he moves a lot. He's got a lot of weight behind him. He's a big dude, like 6'2", whatever he is. So he might not be fast, but he's a powerful runner. And that was one of the keys going into that game. If you can get Dak running a little bit, like play action, kind of like when he scored his touchdown against Tampa, I don't think they utilized him enough in that respect, the running game. So here's our rushing totals. Ezekiel had 26, Tony Pollard 22, and Dak 22.
Yeah. I mean, but that you got to look at the 49ers defense. I mean, they're incredible.
Did you look at the stats like going into the fourth quarter? There wasn't, and that's why I felt one play was going to break it open. Everything was even. There was like a yard difference between total, like rushing yards, total offense. It was uncanny how even these teams were. So from a matchup standpoint, for a fan not of either team, that's the kind of game you want. where it's evenly matched. There's no team getting blown out. But Dallas put the defense in a bind by not scoring. And honestly, that Brett Maher, the first kick, that he was going to miss that.
Just missed it.
It was going left.
He came back though.
Yeah, he did. Did you see pregame how Debo was messing with him?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that's kind of funny.
It is.
I'm not going to say, well, that's not fair, dude. You want any advantage you can, and if you can get in that dude's head, you do it. But when you do not score touchdowns and you kick field goals, it's a dangerous road that you're on. You have to score touchdowns.
Have to.
Every time I see field goals, I look at that's -4. And then you kick another field goal. All right, that's 8 points we left out there. And you convert on touch. All Dallas needed was one more touchdown. That drive when we're in the red zone and Dak throws the second pick, I thought we're at least going to get 3 points out of this. At least.
That's the interception, I think, was, I mean, it's just, you just don't make that throw. You don't make it. Not as a pro. You don't make it.
And we were putting pressure on Purdy. He was uneasy.
Yep.
And that was the game plan. The problem was the offense didn't do their job.
Yep.
And Kellen Moore, he tends to make some odd play calls. I didn't see those. It was almost that they were too conservative in some aspects.
It wasn't the same. Calling. It wasn't the same play calling that you saw at Tampa.
No,
not at all. I mean, it was horrible.
We had some drop passes. There was that. It was just kind of the defense played their game, and they played a really good game. I have no blame on the defense. Initially, I was like, man, defense is terrible. Quinn is never getting a job. But I'm like, no. And looking back at it, the offense is what put them in that bind.
Right.
And you can only do so much. Your defense can only hold. That team, the 49ers, they're an explosive team. And to hold them to, let's see what they had.
I think McCaffrey only had 35 yards, maybe.
Elijah Mitchell, 51. Christian McCaffrey, 35. Yep. Debo, 11. You're going to hold Debo Samuel to 11 yards?
That's a win. That's a win.
Yeah.
No matter what way you look at it, that's a win. Everybody that's joining in and who will join later, over the line for 23rd of January, 2023. Got to make sure I mention that. Real consultant friend of mine from the radio side, they said, boy, you've lost all your knowledge of what you're supposed to be doing on these little podcasts. You don't share anything of what who the people are or what's going on. So I am now. I'm Jeff. This is the world famous drummer, Tracy Jeff. He is known professionally as a guy from Oklahoma's drummer.
Yeah.
A singer from Oklahoma.
And not Toby Keith.
But a singer from Oklahoma who's pretty good, got a good voice.
Yeah, he's on the downhill side of his career.
So he's, married well.
Definitely married up.
That's who he drums for. That's his real job. We sit here on Mondays and we talk about the Cowboys and Packers in the NFL. And we try to figure it all out, where the Packers are going to go, where the Cowboys should be going. And over the line, though, the reason why we named it Over the Line is because one day we're going to have a movie, and we're going to be rich, famous, and
it's not going to be a rom-com.
Yeah, and we're going to get more than 150 views in a week,
or 6 at a time.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell your friends, tell them to come on over. We do talk sports, we do talk football. And yes, we will talk country music. We'll talk music. I got something to talk about later in music that I watched over the weekend on YouTube, and it just blew me the way the people that were playing their instruments. And Tracy knows all about this group that I watched too. So we'll talk about that coming a little bit later. Over the weekend, though, because I got a bunch of Cowboy questions I have for you and what I wrote down. But let's go for Saturday. Jacksonville against Kansas City. I really thought Jacksonville was going to come out and play, but Kansas City's just a good team. Now we got to wonder about the high ankle sprain of McCombs there.
That could be a definite.
It's Mahomes. I don't want anybody to get mad at me. All right, I know
McCombs,
but
like Luke
I'm
McCombs.
I'm just trying to be funny because Tracy being in country music. So I was trying to. So don't sit there and type, oh my God, he doesn't even know what his name is. I do.
Yeah.
Big
I mean,
fan
it's
of
okay. We can get names wrong and stuff.
Yeah. So
like for instance, Jacksonville, no one thought they'd be there. So I'm thinking, yeah, you lost, but we're definitely on the upward swing.
definitely.
And I like Doug Peterson. And it's very relevant for the AFC South because the Jags could be the favorite, clear. Because the Titans, they have a new GM. They fired a bunch of people. Offensive coordinator, well, he's a drunk, so they had to get rid of him.
They had to get rid of him.
They fired a special teams coach.
He was
They
drinking
fired-
and driving, the offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
He was drinking and driving when he could have been Ubering.
totally. Yeah.
What is wrong with you people from Nashville?
I don't know, man.
I mean, in matter of fact, you know what I found out over the weekend? The guy lives in Smyrna.
I could have given him a ride.
You could have gave him a ride.
Yeah.
So, all right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I think that's crap because he's rich. He doesn't live in Smyrna.
He
But
has-
oddly enough, the head of, well, he's not head of security, but he's Amy Adams Strunk. Amy Adams Strunk. That's it, right? Skunk.
no, I think
It's Strunk.
Yeah, what you said first time.
Yeah. Her security guy
She
hangs
stepped
out.
down, though, right?
No, she's still there.
I thought she's stepping down.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
The head of security for Amy Adams Strunk, he hangs out with our little Sunday group at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh,
And he's got some interesting things. Yeah, man. It's a
So you never
you know,
told me about that.
that's a different perspective to hear. You know,
Interesting. I'm wondering if that's how you got to go to the game the last time.
no, that was from my boy who stepped down from the Cardinals. Oh, you
Oh.
talking about the Cowboys Titans game?
Yeah.
No, we bought tickets. My wife
okay.
bought. She
All right.
surprised me with tickets.
Okay. Gotcha.
So
All right.
yeah, Chiefs. We're gonna see how that injury, if it affects Mahomes, because guess what? I'm kind of hot on the Bengals, and if for some reason Mahomes isn't 100%, and you got Big Dick Joe coming in, he might put it on him. You know
So-
what? I'm feeling that of the teams left, I'd say that the Bengals are the hottest one left.
I think so. Yeah. Yep. Philadelphia and the Bengals, I believe everybody's going to pick for the Super Bowl. I think San Francisco can go out there and beat Philadelphia. I really do. I'm not being mean about Philadelphia. I think
Same here.
Philadelphia's a great team,
Yeah.
but I just have a feeling that San Francisco can go out there and beat them.
Philly looked like a championship team
They did.
Saturday night. The thing is, Philly and San Fran matching up, they're very similar. I would give the edge. Here's where I'm giving the edge. I'm giving the edge to the 49ers defense. But then the leveling factor is Purdy. Does he come down to earth, or does he have another couple magical games and he wins the Super Bowl? First rookie to win a Super Bowl. You got Jalen Hurts. From what it looked like, his shoulder's fine. But I do give the edge to the 49ers defense, and the weakness for the 49ers is Purdy. If he plays like he has, then I think the Eagles have a tough time. But then I think that San Fran's defense, somehow, some way, and this is like easier said than done, you got to contain Jalen Hurts. And if you look at talent-wise, man, they're even as far as offense with the weapons. I will say, going back to the Cowboys game, Dallas did a great job containing all of those weapons, except for that one big play to Kittle. So the Eagles and 49ers game, man, that's going to be a great battle. I give a slight edge to the 49ers in that game.
I think the people that say that the 49ers can't go out there because they didn't blow Dallas out or whatever, and and all that kind of stuff. Well, you know what? The week before, everybody, including me, was saying the Cowboys to the Super Bowl because they played like a Super Bowl team against Tampa. So Philadelphia came out and played well against the Giants, but was that the Giants? Now, Giants got a great front four on defense, front 3
Mm-hmm.
Great. But was the Giants really ready to play Philadelphia when you watched that game? No.
I think the Giants shot their wad. And if you're a Giants fan, you feel bad that you lost. But you may have found your quarterback. You've definitely found your coach. And you don't have a lot of questions to answer. You've got a pretty stout defense. So here's the thing. The Giants lost, but you can feel good about it. The Jaguars lost. You can feel good about it. Bills lost. That's a huge letdown. Dallas losing has more questions than answers. Because in Buffalo, you pretty much know what you got. McDermott's not going anywhere. You know Josh Allen's a good quarterback. You still have a solid team. You don't have a bunch of questions. You got a few things to fix.
Right.
Dallas, is McCarthy our guy? Dan Quinn's leaving. Kellen Moore, is he fired? Is Dak the guy? Is that Zeke's last game? What do we go forward? How's Pollard going to be? So of the teams that lost, and this is not just me being partial, Dallas has the most questions and is going to be the most drama in the offseason about what they're going to do. And you know what they're going to do? Probably nothing. The only move I see happening is Quinn leaving. Should they do things? Should they make changes? Yes. Will they? No. Because Jerry Jones is loyal to a fault.
I'm just looking at some of the comments that you're missing on Facebook. And run game went total shit after Pollard injury, which we know.
Yeah.
Clearly, Zeke can't handle it. We know that, I believe. Now, you mentioned something to me before where you think maybe Zeke could be a trade possibility. Now, who takes him?
Somebody would.
And why he went down so quick? Was it an injury?
Man, okay, you do know that running backs only have about 3 good years.
Right.
The life expectancy. And he won because he got that contract. He got his money. I could see Zeke going somewhere. I think we keep Pollard. Hopefully he comes back from that injury and he's 100%. He'll be out like 3 months, but he should be ready for the season, I'm guessing. And maybe you find another running back somewhere. Because guess what? There's probably some kid in college coming up that you plug in and you're kind of getting rid of Zeke. Whatever his contract is left, you kind of eat that. It's still a less of a hit. I guarantee it's less of a hit than Dak. So I could see Zeke going.
Who I would like to see as a Cowboy running back?
Who's that?
There's a guy by the name of Deuce Vaughn. You ever hear that guy?
Nope. Where'd he play?
He's playing at Kansas State, coming out this year. From Fayetteville, Arkansas. He's a perfect Jerry Jones type running back. Arkansas guy. Only sad thing is that he's small, 5'6". But he can make some plays. And I think he'd be a great guy behind that big offensive line of the Dallas Cowboys. But so then you have, like I said, those games on Saturday were just, you knew who were the best teams. You come to Sunday, and everybody had Buffalo. Now, we talked about this in the beginning. Buffalo, I don't know what happened. The weather.
Joe Burrow
from Buffalo. Joe Burrow is what happened. Exactly. Josh Allen, I don't know what happened at the end of the year. Maybe, the whole injury thing with Hamlin, maybe just got into their heads. I don't know. Josh Allen, though, the last couple of games was not Josh Allen that we grown to like. And that game, I mean, you knew when when Cincinnati went right down the field. What was the big thing? Do you remember the big thing last week? What was going to be the deciding factor everybody thought with the Cincinnati Bengals not winning the game? Do you remember what everybody was saying?
No.
Offensive line not going to be able to handle Buffalo Bills.
And, yeah, there was a lot. They've had a lot of shuffling on that offensive line. I think they had 3.
3 out.
Yeah.
Brought 3 in. They had a guy on the offensive line, Tracy, that played high school ball at Green Bay Southwest in an offensive line.
Maybe Zeke can be a center or an offensive lineman.
So
that's definitely a Kellen Moore. Like, wow, that's what you got.
So going in that game, Cincinnati was not even supposed to stay with them because of their offensive line. I don't know. I'm trying to go back to the game now in my head. I don't know. Was Burrow even rushed?
He didn't get a lot of pressure, and he's always really good about moving up in the pocket and finding an open receiver.
That's one guy you need to pressure. And if you can't get it, with 3 offensive linemen that are 3 starters gone, if you can't get pressure on them, what is going on? And now everybody goes, well, Von Miller wasn't there. Well, yep, you're right. You're right. But, and Micah Hyde and some people missing in that defensive backfield. You're right. Everybody at this time of the year has injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So I never expected Buffalo to come out and play like they did.
No.
I think that was the biggest upset over the weekend. I really do.
Oh, yeah, it was easy.
And to sit here, I think they have some work to do now too to get back, because now they got some people that are gonna be gone or just done with playing or whatever.
It might be Von Miller's last year.
Well, he said that he's going to play one more. That's what he said, 1 to 2 more. That's what he's been saying on the Pat McAfee show when he's on there every Thursday, or mostly Thursdays. He's saying that he still wants to play. So,
but man, think about what it is for a season, a football season. You start in July, and longer season now. You got 17 games. I really value what a Super Bowl means and how you get there. Because guess what? No matter what you did, this is the harsh and brutal reality of the NFL.
So here's
the playoffs.
Speaking of that, here's another question for you. And yes, it's me defending my boy. So how many Super Bowls has Mahomes won?
I think he's got 1, right?
How many championship games has he been to?
He's been to at least 3, right? Because he lost.
He's lost 4.
Okay.
1-1. Okay. So why are we not talking about him as a disappointment? If he loses this coming weekend in the championship weekend game, when are we going to start getting on him about not being able to win like they do Rodgers?
I'll be honest, because Rodgers puts it out there that he is this, and you got all the MVPs and everything. And then, of course, he came under fire this past week. Gronk was saying all he cares about, which was taken out of context, what Aaron Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show last week, that he feels he has more MVP seasons. And they got twisted into, all Aaron Rodgers cares about are MVPs and not Super Bowls.
And people that want to share this, I'll explain this to you. Rodgers said that if you're not going to win it all, if you're not going to play to win it all, then he does not want to be a part of a rebuild. That's what he said. Then the second part of that was, I think I can play at a high level. I think I can play at MVP level. To play at a high level and MVP level, that's what you need to win a Super Bowl. You need to play at a high level. You need to play at an MVP level like Mahomes has played this year. So Gronk to come out and say that was just ridiculous. Again, people wanting clicks, people wanting to be more important than what they are since they quit football. And it's just, it's ridiculous to go against. So Mahomes, it's been to 5 championship games, won one Super Bowl. And we don't talk about him as being a disappointment. But we talk about Rodgers, who doesn't have not even a 1/3 of what the team that Mahomes has, especially defense. Rodgers never had a good defense except the Super Bowl run, and that really wasn't a great defense. So this last year was a good defense, but they didn't get it going until the last 4 or 5 games. And so you sit there and you look at this, but nobody's talking about the fact that Mahomes, but I really think you have to talk about his disappointment, Tracy, if he doesn't win this weekend. You have to.
So in last season, he lost to Cincinnati in the AFC Championship. And then in 21, he beat Buffalo. So he's 1-1 there. And then beat Tennessee. So he's 2-1. And then in 19, lost to the Patriots. So he's 2-2 in AFC Championship games.
Okay.
Where Aaron Rodgers is what, 1-4?
So he's got one more win than Rodgers.
Yeah. And he's got a 9-3 playoff record. Mahomes does, including yesterday.
But now I go back to what I just said.
Or Saturday, sorry.
Let's go back now what I just said about what Mahomes has as a team compared to what Rodgers had as a team.
Some reason Mahomes is more likable, bottom line.
You can't say that the Packers have had. Has the Packers had a tight end like Kelsey? Has the Packers had a wide receiver like the Cheetah?
Yeah, I think I know where you're headed with this.
I mean,
you're defending your boy.
I'm defending my boy, but I'm also defending the fact that you have to have more than one. You have to have a good quarterback. Yes, I agree. But you also can have a mediocre quarterback and win if you have a great defense.
And a good system like Shanahan with Brock Purdy.
Or, like they had when Trent Dilfer won his Super Bowl.
The thing about the 49ers, I'll just throw this out. That's a testament to the system. You're on your 3rd string rookie quarterback. But I think what you're trying to get at is, and it's a thing that we've talked about ad nauseum. It's the Packers' inability in the front office to put players around Aaron Rodgers. And the conundrum is Aaron Rodgers, who he is.
Right.
People don't like him.
Don't like him.
Everybody loves Patrick Mahomes. It's a perception thing. And to a fault, you look at both. I look at the organization of the Packers and Aaron Rodgers as a person. Because he's wishy-washy. He's once again going to hold you guys over the barrel about what's he going to do. And we get to watch that. So the reason I think they may have similar numbers as far as championships, AFC championships, but Mahomes has the edge because he's won more championship games, but also he's less polarizing. The only problem with Mahomes is his stupid brother. And guess what? He hadn't done nothing this year.
They showed him over the weekend on Saturday. Showed him and the wife, Pat's wife, and everything.
If I'm Pat Mahomes, I'm like, bro, chill with the TikTok. You make me look bad here.
I think when you look at the Cowboys and the Packers, they're kind of on the same path.
They're on the same path, but the weakness is the quarterback situation because Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback. We don't know if Dak's a good quarterback.
But it's a weakness now. If you look at everybody, if you come to Green Bay and look at all the people talking in the papers and everything else, they say that we're as bad at quarterback as what the Cowboys are right now this morning, which is ridiculous. Because Aaron Rodgers, yes, is yesterday's MVP, but we're only 1 year removed from that. 1 year. And we don't know how bad that thumb was. We know how bad Dak's thumb was because he got a plate put in it. We have no idea what Rodgers' thumb was like. We have no idea what his knee was like. So people jumping on the bandwagon that he's got to get out of town, I say reload. And that's where I'm thinking where the Cowboys are mirrored a little bit is Cowboys got to make some decisions now on some people. We all know that. Schultz is probably gone.
Yeah.
At tight end.
He had a bonehead play at the end, getting his foot down.
Whatever that was about. That was just, concentration was ridiculous.
Even when we had Witten, we never had like an explosive tight end. He was reliable.
When was the last explosive tight end? Novacek? Maybe?
Different era, because tight ends now are more athletic. They're faster. Like, you look like a guy like
Billy Joe
Kittle.
Dupree.
That's, once again, way long ago. But you look at these tight ends like Kelsey and, of course, Kittle. Man, those guys they're game changers. And I don't feel Dallas has a game changer tight end. Dalton Schultz, he's probably gone. But we got Hendershot and we have Ferguson.
And there's
maybe those are the guys.
There's a few tight ends coming out this year in the draft. I mean, that Meyer from Notre Dame is elite.
Yeah.
There's a couple other ones. There's a Georgia one, not the young guy, not 19 coming out, but I think there's one other one coming out. I mean, there's some good tight ends coming out, but I don't know if they're Kelsey or Kittle. And again, I go back and I ask you this all the time on players. Tell me this: how does Kittle go in the what was he, third rounder? It was. It's ridiculous. But tell me this: how does a guy number 54, Fred Warner from the San Francisco 49ers, how does he become the 70th pick in an NFL draft? When you watch that guy on tape, Tracy, he had to be the same way he was in the NFL here.
You know what? That's those fines, man. That's why they pay those scouts so much money. And then you get them in and you get value out of your draft picks. You can just look at the quarterback position. I mean, at the beginning of the season, did San Francisco think they'd be going with their last pick and the last pick in the draft as their quarterback?
No, they thought Trey Lance was the guy.
Yeah. And then that's interesting. What do they do with Lance and Garoppolo?
What do you do?
Do they go on the cheap and keep Purdy?
What do you do? What would you do if you had to make that decision
I'm keeping
right after
Purdy.
the Super Bowl?
I'm keeping Purdy because Garoppolo, he's getting a little long in the tooth, had some injuries. They're probably going to get rid of him.
What about
And then you invested all this stuff in Trey Lance, but hey, you can get Brock Purdy cheap. Okay. So guess what you could do? You can get rid of Purdy. No, keep Purdy. Get rid of Lance. Get some draft picks. And, man, John Lynch is doing a killer job at GM. I mean,
this is where I'm saying to you that if you keep Cooper Rush and cut your losses with Dak, you have the same thing. You have a guy that's going to come in and he's not going to make the mistakes that Dak does. I'm not going to say he's not going to make mistakes, but he's not going to make those types of mistakes. He's proved that. Wouldn't you rather win with a guy that's not going to make mistakes and get you upset watching a game than sit there and have the same old story? Well, that'll never happen again. I can guarantee that. He can't guarantee that.
No.
He said that for the last 5 years.
Yeah. It's kind of like what Romo had over Jerry. Dak has the same thing. Jerry is not going to get rid of Dak. Should he have gotten rid of Romo? I don't know.
I pick on you to this day. I say the biggest mistake, and people can sit here and tell me I'm wrong from the Dallas Cowboy fan club. Marcus Spears should have never been a Dallas Cowboy. Aaron Rodgers should have. Now, you're right. Does Aaron Rodgers become Aaron Rodgers at that time? Yes, I think he still does because he wanted to be number one. And he'd been 18, I think, at that time. He would have still had the chip. And I think you're talking about a run with the Dallas Cowboys that would have been incredible. But the loyalty from Jerry with the whole Tony Romo thing and what he's doing now with Dak, that has to stop, and he has to know that now.
It won't. You know the definition of insanity, right?
That's what you said, but I'm just telling you.
That's what he's doing.
But it has to happen. It has to happen. What you see yesterday, it has to happen. They get a turnover from special teams, and they can't get it in the end zone.
That
the
could
play
have changed.
And the
Oh,
play
yeah.
calling at that time was just ridiculous.
And
What
that's
is-
where Kellen Moore,
But is that
somebody,
Kellen Moore and Mike talking on their headsets? What is going on there?
here's what I think. As crazy as Kellen Moore can call a game with the reverses and all this stuff, I think McCarthy allowed that stuff to happen. But then he got a little too cute. So McCarthy put the kibosh on that. And then Kellen Moore became too conservative. Or is Kellen Moore making a play call and McCarthy changing it? Because McCarthy, didn't he call plays for the Packers?
Yep, he did all the play calling.
Here's what's going to happen. And is it going to be right? No. Moore gets fired. And who takes over as OC? Mike McCarthy, head coach, offensive coordinator.
Which I think Mike is a great play caller. I believe that. Mike's problem is the clock. For some reason,
Oh my good.
he can't
Dude,
manage.
you got to call that timeout.
Yeah.
You got to call that. That's like 40 seconds you let go.
Or even if you don't call a timeout, get your punting team out there and go. Let's go.
It was like, what is he doing?
Yeah. So I mean, that's Mike's problem for all the while he was at Green Bay. His clock management is horrible.
So look at the end of both games. What happened? Clock management. Whose job? Coach.
But does Mike really become the OC? Here's the other part of this. I don't know if he does, because you also have Brian Schottenheimer sitting in the office too. He's like a consultant type thing, isn't he? There in Dallas? I'm almost positive. I read that.
I mean, something's, you
So
got
I
to
mean,
do something.
he could come on the field if Moore's gone. I think Moore has to be gone. Either way, either they come out with that great thing that when you're in radio you have is we've allowed him to look for other opportunities,
Explore other opportunities.
You're
Yeah,
fired,
basically, yeah.
So, but I think he does need to look for other opportunities. And yes, they have Mike McCarthy, but then you have to have somebody hanging on to Mike saying, hey, you got to do this with the clock. You got to do that with the clock. So, I mean, those are the things that have to happen. I don't think Mike McCarthy loses a job.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, Schottenheimer, he's an analyst with the Cowboys. So maybe they promote from within and they allow Kellen Moore to explore other opportunities.
Because he's not going to go with Dan Quinn wherever Quinn's going. Because I think he's ready to wring his neck.
Yeah. Because he put that defense in a huge bind.
Yeah.
And
so, I mean, that's out of the question. But I think if Quinn the perfect spot for him would be to go to probably Indianapolis, because he's not that far away on the defensive side. He's a defensive coach. They got a great linebacker. I can't think of his name right now, but he changed it to Shaq this year.
is it Shaq Barrett? No.
So, can't think of it right now. Skipped my mind. But so you have him, and he got, I think it was last year, he got all in an uproar because when they asked Aaron Rodgers on one of the TV things, who's one of the best linebackers in the league, and he said Fred Warner, which Fred Warner is one of the guys that Aaron Rodgers always talks about. And this guy from Indianapolis got all mad, saying, oh, well, let's see what happens, all that kind of stuff. So now he's been hurt the last couple of years, but he's still a great linebacker. So they got some things on defense that Quinn would like, I think. Now, what are they going to do in Indianapolis on offense? We don't know. I think you have to keep your owner out of the bathroom and make sure he's not doing something, they got to keep
That's
track
the
of
thing.
that.
Matt Ryan is no longer Matty Ice.
No, I don't think. I never liked that anyway when they called him that.
He was never Ice. No.
So-
That needs to stop.
So, Quinn going somewhere, Quinn, I don't see Quinn taking a job like the Texans. Do you?
Oh, I don't know who takes that job. Maybe Kellen Moore.
Maybe Kellen Moore. I don't know. But I don't see Quinn taking that job. I don't even see the defensive coordinator from the 49ers taking that job. I think he's going to be a great head coach, though, that guy.
Yes. DeMeco Ryans.
I think he's going to be a great head coach. And if he goes, he could go to Indianapolis probably. I think next year, even if Quinn doesn't leave right away, I think next year could, definitely be the time he leaves, because I think you're going to have like the Raiders open up next year if they don't get going. I mean, there's going to be some good teams, opening up. You never know what's going to go on with McVay, the Rams. They're going to be rebuilding or whatever they want to reloading. But as long, the people talking today, about I love the way they bring up this whole, they got to watch these contracts and they got to watch, the teams got to do this. Well, New Orleans, Tracy, that Loomis did a heck of a job with the cap. They're going to pay for it in the end, yes, but he did a good job in juggling, and Dallas can do that juggling. And I would hate to see Dallas just blow it all up because they're so close. But they're going to have to sign some people. Yeah, they're going to. But they could sign some people off the street, that maybe can come in and do a good job too. Now, can they get a quarterback that way? No. But I truly believe that Dak isn't the answer, and you have to cut the losses right now.
It'll be a cut, but it won't be what you think.
And I like Dak. I'm not saying that I don't like Dak. I mean, I just don't think that he's gotten the opportunities now. And he's had a great defense. There's no way that you go in. I don't care if the 49ers have 19 points. You should not lose that game. And that's where my thing. Now, let's look to this weekend. So you have Cincinnati and Kansas City. Like I said before, Cincinnati beats Kansas City this time. They should be hammering Mahomes. They should be, because he's got a great team out there, great defense, got premier guys. Yeah, he lost to Cheetah and all that kind of stuff, but Scantling had a touchdown this last week. He still has speed at the wide receiver spot. That's the other thing. Why you're talking about the reverses and all that? You got to get more creative with CD. You got to get his hands on the ball.
The way I look at CD, he's an economy version of Deebo Samuels, and you have to use him in that respect. Get him on the edge, get him going. I mean, dude, for the most part, we kept Deebo. We shut him down. But
you did.
Yeah.
He's
as far
electric.
as
When he gets the ball in his hands, and I think CD can be the same guy. Electric. They're electric.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can't explain it. You can't explain why they can go through a hole that nobody else can get through, but they do. Yeah. And you got to get the ball in their hands.
What's going to be interesting is I'm giving Cincinnati the edge because I like Burrow, and we don't know what's going to be up with Mahomes. And guess what? The Bengals said we've been here before. We beat them last year.
Yep.
I think
they're ready.
I think the Chiefs are the ones that have more pressure on them. Because once again, although Cincinnati went to the Super Bowl last year and lost, they still feel that they have the edge. They're feeling all the momentum, especially when you go into Buffalo and knock them off. That's huge. So they have a lot of momentum.
My buddy Dennis Miller just the most outrageous Philadelphia fan there can be on all the sports in Philadelphia. He just popped on and said, "Hi, Tracy," because he's trying to pick on you, kind of needle you a little bit about the Cowboys.
That's okay.
But you know what, Dennis, just so you're listening, I mean, I love you, brother, but still, 49ers are beating the Eagles this week. I truly believe that. I truly believe the 49ers will beat the Eagles.
And I'm not even saying
here's the reason why, and then you can go. All right. There's something wrong with number 11 for the Eagles. When you're winning 31-7 and you're complaining on the sideline because you want to get in, you want to finish the game, or you want to play, you want the ball, you want this, you know what? There's trouble in the locker room. There's trouble.
You think?
So any kind of trouble like that is bad when you go up against a team like the 49ers.
And I know Dennis probably loves this. I find Nick Sirianni a tad bit cocky.
He is. He carries a lot to, he's kind of got, when you look at him and the way he talks, he's Aaron Rodgers as a coach. He's got that's
I can tolerate Aaron Rodgers.
But he's got that, the Sirianni's got that, I'm the smartest guy in the room. This is how we're going to play, and this is how we're going to win. And that's what Aaron Rodgers says. But then when it comes down to it, yeah, Sirianni will go, oh, yeah, it was my fault or whatever. But you know that he's blaming everybody else on the team. So I think, Dennis, I'm sorry, but I got a feeling the 49ers are going to win. I don't like the way Brown was acting on the sidelines when people were trying to talk him, down from the ledge. You can't have that on your team. You can't have it. Not when you're going for a Super Bowl. Because it's going to get blown up in the Philadelphia papers and the New York papers and everywhere else. So now he's going to have to come out and try to play better and try to have the right attitude. But you're playing the 49ers now. And if they get under his skin, look at how quick in the Green Bay, Minnesota game, how Jair Alexander got underneath Jefferson's skin after the first play of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff happens if you're not mentally tough. And Brown showed me on Saturday that he was not mentally tough, that he was worried about me and not the team. And I don't, and I liked him. I wanted him to come to Green Bay, and have the Packers trade for him and everything. So let's talk about this too. So where's your pick on that? You going with San Francisco?
Yeah.
Kansas City, you going with?
Nope. Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
It's a reboot from those Super Bowls in the 80s.
So
Cincinnati versus San Fran.
Let's talk about possibilities here. Where does Brady go?
I have a feeling, and this is just a feeling, he might try Vegas.
You don't think Tennessee? No.
From what I can hear from the Titans, they're sticking with Tannehill, which I think is a big mistake. Tannehill's not the guy.
No.
So
now I could see the Titans trading for somebody like Dak. I could see that a home for Dak.
That's a possibility.
And I could see.
But I don't know if they can take on that salary cap hit.
Well.
I mean, is it worth it?
And does Sean Payton come back?
Listen, Jerry sent Sean Payton a drunk text last night. Hey, boo, how you doing? Booty call, come over. You know he did.
Hey.
And Sean Payton's just toying with people.
Hey, Sean, this is Jerry. And I don't know if you know, but we lost. And we sucked. And at the end of the game, I don't know if you noticed that play with Zeke. Yeah, that wasn't good for an end of the game play when we're down. That was horrible. Sean, what do you think? What do you think we should have done there? And do you think Mike screwed up the old management of the clock? Yeah. All right, I'm going to get back to my Whataburger and my booze and maybe talk to you tomorrow. So,
I think that's probably how the talk went.
And Sean, you know what's funny?
$20 million he wants.
Let's look at Sean Payton, his record compared to McCarthy.
Now wait, before you get started, you're a big supporter of Sean Payton. For the last couple of years, you wanted him as coach.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, I feel like I'm hearing a little bit of maybe change of guard. Go ahead.
No, the reason I'm not saying is I would love Sean Payton, but Jerry's not going to do it because he's too freaking loyal. And if you look at Sean Payton versus Mike McCarthy's records, both have one Super Bowl, and they both have similar records in the playoffs.
Right.
And so you could swap those, but the extra thing, the intangible for Payton, if you didn't look at records and I asked somebody on the street that knows a little bit about football, would you want Sean Payton or Mike McCarthy? Guarantee they'd mostly say Sean Payton. Just because of what he did with the Saints and who he is, his personality. And, the thing that bugs me about McCarthy is his clock management. It's the worst. And then you saw him push the camera guy at the end of the game.
No, I missed
That's
that.
the best stiff arm in the game.
I missed that. I got to go back
Yeah,
and
look
find
it
that.
up.
Oh, my.
Yep.
I didn't.
He stiff armed the cameraman.
Because the camera was too close?
He was coming in on him while he was walking off the field, and he did the whole.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wait,
But he
Mike.
apologized to the camera guy, so it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like Shannon Sharp. He apologized. It's fine.
So Shannon Sharp, let's talk about that real quick over the weekend.
Huh.
The Lakers game. What was he doing?
If it was me or you, we'd have gotten thrown out.
Yeah.
But it's Shannon Sharp.
He goes back to his courtside seat.
Yeah. And then hugs it out with T. Morant. Now they're all best friends now.
I mean, what is going on? You can't act like that at a pro game.
If you're Shannon Sharp, you're famous. It's like that line in Dewey Cox, the Walk Hard story.
Yeah.
You can't be double married. But what if you're famous? You don't get thrown out of games if you're famous.
I don't understand what happened there. I don't.
And did you see your boy Skip Bayless?
No, what did he do?
Oh my goodness. It's so orchestrated and contrived. He posted on Twitter him throwing away his Dak Prescott jersey. And it's like, he's got to be the worst actor because that was terrible. You could just tell it was premeditated, and Skip's just weird anyway. It was horrible. Look, check it out, man. It's pretty bad. Yeah.
So, like I said, we know everything that's that happened yesterday. I mean, it's this bad stuff with the Cowboys.
You're not feeling good about anything right now as a Cowboys fan.
I'm not.
But I will say that I was prepared for it. I was planning on
you were
NFC Championship next week. Then I'm excited.
They crushed my soul, though. They really did.
Well,
because
now you get a little nugget of what it's like to be a Cowboys fan.
I mean, I was so mad when the Packers lost. And then when they came in, and I thought, okay, I'm going to take the Cowboys. They looked great against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I said, all right, they got a chance here. And then they hold, let's say 16. They hold San Francisco to 16. They shut down Debo. They shut down McCaffrey. Yeah, your guy from Louisiana, he ran 51 yards, but
that was all in the end, and our defense was gassed.
Yeah, they were gassed. So they basically shut them down, and they can't win. It was so disappointing. And that's kind of what the Packers were too. Like I said, it's so much alike because against Detroit, win and get in, and they fall flat on their face on the offensive side. And it's the same thing. So it was heartbreaking. But now we have to move forward, get ready for the combine, see who the fastest guys are, see who can jump and all that kind of stuff. And what are the 49ers, if they're looking in the draft, what are they looking for? What's funny too, I was going to tell you this, is the guy that played left tackle last night. They talked about him. Jimmy Johnson said he likes to hold. First play of the game, what does he do? He holds. It was kind of funny. But what do they look for now? What do they look for?
As far as the 49ers?
For the Cowboys in the draft. What do you guys draft? What do you guys need that you think would help you get over to the top, to get you, I mean, not only in the playoffs, but to win the playoffs?
Okay, so our weakness in not winning was our quarterback. But we're not going to get a quarterback in the draft. So scratch that off. I would think maybe a running back. If we're going to get rid of Zeke, maybe we go running back. Because our defense is pretty good.
Pollard. You don't know what's going on because he broke down his fibula, right?
Yeah. But I don't see him taking a running back in the first round. I think they're going to look for value in a late round draft pick. So is there the best player on the board, like let's say a standout tight end because Schultz is gone? Do we have Ferguson and Hendershot? Are those our guys? Do we go for a tight end? The glaring weaknesses that I see, offensive line played well. Considering that Tyler Smith he was heralded as in college, he held the most of anyone, got the most holding penalties in college. He played pretty well. My thing is, how long is Tyron Smith going to be there? He was a mainstay. And Zach Martin, we've got an aging offensive line. Those are two of the blue bloods that are still there. Biotish came back. That's good. I think he's still got some years in him. Mm-hmm. But do we go and try to find another offensive lineman? Because like I said, how many more years does Tyron Smith have? Jason Peters, he's not the answer. I don't think he comes back. He had that hip
Sporting.
injury last week. Yeah,
So
that was just a stopgap.
take your
So
take your tight ends this year, okay? This is just the guys that are pretty well known, all right, as far as the top tight ends. Let's just take top 5. You got that Michael Meyer from Notre Dame, 6'4", 265. He's the elite. He's the guy that is probably a no doubter, all right? But here's just a couple of names that I want you to listen to because I think they have a chance to be a Cowboy. I think you got Luke Musgrave, Oregon State, 6'6", 250. You got Dalton Kincaid from Utah. Watched him play a couple of games. Beast, 6'4", 240. And the guy from Georgia I was telling you about that I think could be a good Dallas Cowboy, almost like Billy Joe Dupree. Not going to be flashy, but he'll catch everything, and his radius is going to be huge. Not a speedster, but big for his size. Not bad. Darnell Washington, 6'7", 270. That Billy Joe Dupree kind of guy.
yeah,
And then you got Laporta there from Iowa, who's an Iowa tight end, just like Kittle. Those guys, for some reason, can play tight end at Iowa.
seems like the Big Ten is the tight end conference. Like the dudes that come out of the Big Ten are solid tight ends. There's a couple so you mentioned Laporta from Iowa, Josh Weil from Cincinnati, and then Payne Durham from Purdue. He's 6'5", 255. Is it Schoonmaker from Michigan?
Yeah, he's a good one too.
And then Alabama, Cameron Latu. So those are Darnell Washington, Musgrave from Oregon State, Tucker Kraft.
Got it. I like, and I could see as a Cowboy, is the guy from Clemson that I think it's Allen. His last name's Allen. He's a big guy, like 6'6", 6'7".
So because we've solidified our draft where we're going to be,
right?
Late first round. I don't see Michael Meyer being left at that point.
No.
And then, like Jerry, what he loves to do, trade down, get value. I mean, I would say we might need someone else as far as an edge rusher to complement Micah, because DeMarcus Lawrence, I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be there.
And he got hurt right away too with the ankle or whatever he had going on.
But it was funny, man. It was like last year all over again. First play, defense, we're offsides. And it was from him. I'm like, wow, here we go again.
Yep.
The upshot is we didn't have as many penalties as last year, but we still were more penalized than San Francisco.
So this is what I'll leave you with as we get out of here today. You got basketball tonight or anything with Cam?
Nope.
No? All right.
Nope. Hey, you'll appreciate this, though. I had to stand in and sub coach. I was a sub for Carter's rec ball team, the Chuckle Nuts.
Did you win?
Got the W.
Wow.
I didn't do anything, man.
It's all about coaching.
Yeah, but you know what? Those kids are going to do what they do. I was basically babysitting. I was like, I'd call timeout and be like, hey, what do y'all want to do? Okay.
So this is what I think happens. I think there's a reunion coming this year.
McCarthy and Rodgers?
I think it's coming. And this is what happens. Cowboys will give up their first round, second round, and third round.
Oh, boy.
They'll give up their first round next year and a second next year. Rodgers goes to the Cowboys. Packers pick up the picks. Packers will in turn then trade Aaron Jones and pick up another number one pick. Jordan Love will go into the season for the Packers with probably the best team the Packers will ever be able to put on the field. More than whatever Rodgers had. And then Jordan Love's going to take them to the promised land. Now, will they win the Super Bowl? No. But he will play so well that everybody will say, why didn't they do this before? Cowboys, if they can reload, okay, And I don't mean reload because they're going to be giving up their picks, but get some other people because they're going to have to make some choices on some people. They find a trade partner for Dak, so he's gone. And they probably get some picks back. So they reload a little bit. Now you got a quarterback. You got to reload that offensive line so you got a good offensive line so your quarterback coming in is not going to get hit. Dallas wins the Super Bowl next year.
With Aaron Rodgers.
Because the only reason why I say that is because Dallas defense will still be strong with Micah Parsons. And like you said, they're going to have to pick up probably another edge rusher somewhere. And I think they can do that. I think they will have enough to do that somewhere.
The question is, we will definitely have a drop-off defensively.
Well, you're going to probably have a drop-off because of the coach if he leaves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's going to take a lot of coaches with him.
Yeah, defensive.
So I don't think our defense will be as good next year. And the only positive for the Cowboys offense was it ranked in the top 5. But that's very deceiving because they didn't perform when they were supposed to.
Right.
Poor play calling. So, I mean, yeah, you had 12 wins, and in those 12 wins, you were averaging like at 1.35 something points a game offensively. Great. When does it matter? You know what's ironic? Dallas allowed 19 points to Tampa in the first game of the season. Guess what their defense allowed yesterday to end their season? 19 points.
Yeah.
That's a pretty solid day defensively.
Yep.
But if your offense can't do anything, so maybe the shakeup is a different offensive coordinator. Maybe that's what they need. Something that plays into Dak's strength, which at this point I'm not sure what they are. And you get him to quit forcing the ball.
I think it's a given that the offensive coordinator is gone. I think that they're, because they're saying that if there is teams out there that would make a deal for Rodgers. But this is the key too, I think. The only way a team makes that deal, Tracy, is if they're guaranteed 3 years. As much as they can be. Now, you're not guaranteed because you're one play away. We all know that from being.
And what's really guaranteed?
Right.
Money can buy you out of anything.
You're guaranteed 3 years of Rodgers, where he doesn't come in and do this every year. Like, I don't know if I'm really going to play.
But does he? I mean, if he goes to a new team, all of a sudden, is he not going to hold the team hostage?
I think he has to make that decision if it's a great team. And I think he's looking for the people around him. I think he's as competitive about winning the Super Bowl as he's ever been. Is he showing that outwardly? He's showing it, but people that hate him or dislike him because he's not immunized or he is immunized or whatever it is.
And he's drinking his ayahuasca.
And he's drinking his ayahuasca
or whatever it is.
But, the guy survived COVID toe.
Oh, boy.
And COVID.
And he's got a new hot girlfriend.
And we don't know that yet. Has that come out publicly? Or is that people speculation?
He's going to a lot of Bucks games.
Well, but he's an owner.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an owner. And if he is with that girl, he needs to drop her and go back to Olivia Munn because he was a MVP with Olivia and Danica. So pick one of them.
Well, he was an MVP with what's the other one? The one from Divergent.
Shailene.
Shailene Woodley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't so good with Blue. Blue needs to go.
No, she's too Blue Ocean or whatever she is. Avatar has to go.
But Aaron, if you ever sit down and watch this, I'm one big fan, and I'm telling you right now, just play with the Packers, get them to reload, and somehow get a pick that's in the top 10 so you can get that kid out of TCU to wide receiver, or else you get that tackle from Northwestern, Skoronski. Skoronski, bring that name home back to Lambeau Field where it belongs so he can be the tackle of the future for you and Jordan Love.
But what are you going to do about your defense?
I think the defense needs a defensive coordinator. Okay? And if Sean Payton doesn't become a head coach, then that Vic, what's his name?
Fangio.
He needs to come to Green Bay and be the DC. That's what I think. Because I think we're a DC away from being a great defensive team.
Have you guys fired your DC yet?
No. And
Okay.
it's probably not going to happen.
Exactly. You're kind of stuck where I am.
Right. So, but I think Kellen Moore is going away with you guys. I really do.
Oh, God, yeah.
All right. We'll go at it next week, Monday, 1 o'clock, over the line.
We'll have our Super Bowl matchup. So
Super
I'm
Bowl
going
matchup.
San Francisco, Cincinnati. Who are you
And
going?
I'm going to go with San Francisco, Cincinnati. Same thing.
You got to mix it up for your boy Dennis.
And I think what's going to happen is Joe Burrow gets his Super Bowl. And I don't know what's going to happen in Cincinnati. I'll tell you who I'd like as a Packer. Actually, both of them. But I'd take one of them as one of their safeties. Either that Bates, the third, or that Von Bell. That Von Bell can cover some tight ends.
Yeah.
And I would take either one of them. And the Packers need safeties. So I'd go after one of those. I don't know which one, but I'd go after one of them. They're both free agents. So Cincinnati needs to put it together right now.
And the other thing, you mentioned safeties. Dallas needs help in the back end.
There you go.
Because we had some injuries.
You can have one, we'll take one. You can have Bell or you can have Bates, and we'll take the other one. I think that's the way it goes.
All right.
I think me and you becoming the general managers of both teams would be the right thing for these teams to do.
And then we can go to Thailand with Cliff Kingsbury.
Okay, speaking of that real quick, all right? Thailand. My new favorite thing to do watching TV. After sports is done, you're kind of winding down, you're kind of getting out of that being upset attitude. Go to your TV, get YouTube, and go watch live from Thailand. The camera's set on the beach. It is lovely. You can sit back and you watch people on the beach. There's a lot of different things that you might not want to watch on that beach, but
there you go.
It is interesting. So that's something that you should go check out. Also, LAX, watching the planes come in and out of LAX is really a great live feed.
Okay, that sounds horribly boring.
Nick just got here and said, what are the options for Rodgers trade? I said, Nick, if you're going to trade Rodgers, this is the year to do it. But right now, anybody thinking that he's going to be traded to the Texans, they're idiots.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
You want to talk about miserable?
Because Rodgers does not. He if he gets traded, okay, he can be traded, but he will retire if they trade him to the Texans.
Yeah,
hands down.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the possibility of a trade partner. I just got done telling Tracy that you trade him to Dallas, reunion with Mike McCarthy. I think that's a possibility.
But more realistic is Seattle.
I think the realistic team is Seattle because Rodgers would go to Seattle and play. And I think they're not that far away. So the Packers would get 2 number ones from Seattle. I think they are it's either the 5th. Indianapolis might have the 5th. And then, so I think it's the 7th and the 12th pick. So then the Packers would be able to get that big offensive lineman, Peter Skoronski from Northwestern, bring that Skoronski's name home to Lambeau where it belongs because his grandfather, Bob Skoronski, was a big, big tackle in the Packers' 60s with Lombardi. So it's time to bring that name back. And then they go get that wide receiver from TCU, Quentin Johnson, 6'5", 225 pounds, 4'3", 740. He goes along with Christian Watson. And Jordan Love has a team put together. But I still think then if you're going to do that, you have to make a decision on your defensive side and get you got to get somebody in there. It'd be nice to bring a Rex Ryan in but I don't think Matt LaFleur would do that because he'd be looking over his shoulder at all times.
Yeah.
So if Rodgers goes, it has to be a team that can make it seem like he's going to, be able to win. And that's Dallas, Seattle number one, because they got the draft capital, 2 number ones. So Seattle first, Jets maybe second, Cowboys, Tennessee, maybe, because there's always that talk that Rodgers has got property there.
I'd like to see Aaron Rodgers in New York because Joe Namath already said he'd give up the number 12 for him.
Is that what he said?
Yep.
So there you go.
I mean, that's when he was drunk trying to kiss Susie Colbert, but you know.
So that's what I think. But if you're going to trade Rodgers, it has to be now. And if you're thinking Rodgers is going to retire and walk away this year, wow, I don't know.
If he does retire, he'll be out 1 year and back the next.
I don't think he retires. I just don't. I think the guy is wired different. I think he's one of those big thinkers, those smart guys that has to process, you know. And I think because he processes, he does this whole thing where I'll wait, I'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm a big, huge Aaron Rodgers fan. Nobody will find a bigger one to me. But I'm just saying, if you're going to trade him, then let's trade him, and move on. I want him to stay. I personally want him to stay. I think they can bring people around to help him this year yet. Now, but I don't think his commitment is for the next. I think if he plays this year, he wants to play next year. I think next year's out of the question because then you got to make a decision on Jordan Love. This year you still have Love under contract, but now you're going to have to make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, it should have happened a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And I always said that. If you could get the draft capital, trade him. But you'd be dumb to trade him in your division, but Seattle is in the NFC. So I'm just telling you that you don't want to play Aaron Rodgers in a championship game. If you're Green Bay, you don't.
Because you'll lose.
Yeah, because he's going to play probably one of his best. So that's my point on my whole take on Aaron Rodgers. And I like the guy. I think the Packer fans should be more applauding this guy for what he's given us in his career. 4-time MVP. He's made throws that nobody else can make. And
One Super Bowl.
But is that, again, I don't think that's a reflection of Aaron Rodgers. And I've always told you that.
Yeah.
That's a reflection. And I think that you can't put the Cowboys, that 90s Cowboys team. They were set up to run the table for a lot of years with Jimmy Johnson. That was management again. That was ownership.
Mm-hmm.
That team was incredible.
Jimmy Johnson, still paying for it.
Was incredible as a coach with that team. And so, you look at that. They could have ran off. We're sitting here saying 2 Super Bowls in Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers' career. Well, you guys got 3, luckily. But you could have ran off a lot more with Jimmy Johnson there. A lot more. So, all right. You have a good week.
You too.
When do you start your big practicing, your rehearsals for the big tour coming up? Of course, Blake is going to be going on tour in February. Starts.
Yep.
And,
we start 2 weeks. We have rehearsals, and then we start the tour in Lincoln, Nebraska.
So, what does it do? And give us a little insight, real quick. What happens in the in rehearsals? Is it just a fuck around, or
Hey, man, watch your mouth.
But what is it?
Jeez.
What happens?
We're gonna run the show a couple times. Work out any kinks. Like sometimes people have new gear that they bring.
Okay.
They want to get that stuff all tweaked in and ready to go. The audio guys have to make sure if they've gotten new stuff that everything's working. And we have 3 days scheduled, which will be good because I'm looking forward to actually getting in there and we're running the show. I was combining the show and set and calling it a shit. Yeah, shit. I took a shit. And we're going to run that stuff. There aren't major, from what I can tell, there won't be any major changes as far as set. But we might move some songs around and then we'll rehearse that. And then, of course, all bets are off when Blake shows up. He might be like, you know what? I don't want to do those songs. Or I don't like that order. Or, you know what? I'm going to say this funny thing here. And then you do that. So do you set up the stage, the lights, the whole works? Everything's working that day? Just band gear.
Okay.
Yeah. They're rehearsing, they're setting up the new stage. I think it's in Pennsylvania. And they're getting all that. So they're running the show, with no band. They're
Okay.
setting up lighting cues and all that stuff. So they're rehearsing that. And then when we get into Lincoln, we'll have 2 days. And the band will be there before. I mean, the crew will be there. And the stage and all that will be set up before we get there. So we'll have 1 day of rehearsal in Lincoln probably, and then start the tour after that. But you don't settle into a good feel groove-wise with the set list until probably like the second week, which is unfortunate because the tour is only 6 weeks. So halfway through, it's almost done.
Done.
Yeah.
So do you? So when he brings in new music, if there's new music for this tour, so when do you get the thoughts on when do you get copies, or when do you know what new music and when you start practicing that? I know we always show the drum set behind you, but when do you actually start working on that stuff?
We'll get that as soon as he gets it, as far as what he wants to do. Like if he wants to do a new song, he'll let our band leader know. And then the band leader sends that out to us, and then we start working on it. Because the idea is you practice before you rehearse. You don't go to rehearsal and learn the song. You should already know the song.
Gotcha.
So if we get anything new, we'll learn it before we actually get to rehearsal. But I mean, there's times where we could be in rehearsal and be like, hey, Blake wants to do this new song. But I don't see us doing a whole lot of new stuff because I don't know if there's a new album coming out or anything like that. So it might be just a rearranging of songs.
How do I hire him to come back to Brussels?
Give it about 10 years. You could probably afford it.
10 years?
Probably.
I won't even be here.
Yeah, you might. Maybe it'll be a memorial concert.
My Lord, 10 years.
Maybe it'll be like Jerry when he wins the Super Bowl. Blake will go back to play Door County when you're dead.
So you've been here. You know what Door County's about. You know what Brussels is about.
Egg Harbor, yeah.
Do you think we'd have enough parking for Blake this time around?
Oh yeah. You might have to do a free show, but yeah.
You know, we'd have to take out that whole highway for parking. The old highway.
I say you put him on a barge in Egg Harbor.
There you go. That would be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And have everybody sit on the beach while you guys are out in the water.
Some beach. See,
I think I could get that done.
Like get working on it. You got about 10 years to get it working. So
I think I could find somebody with a large enough boat to put Blake Shelton on the boat with the band.
Uh-huh.
And he plays to everybody on the I don't know how he'd make money on it. That's the thing. Because
he might be doing charity shows at that point. I mean, if it's your memorial concert, maybe he's just going to do it as a favor.
Then I don't care about money. Yeah, I guess so.
Then yeah.
All right.
Sounds like we'll do it. Hey, I will tell you, I'm reading Happy Anywhere, the Blake Shelton book that Carol Large wrote. Yeah. And sadly, Larry passed away, her husband. Larry and Carol moved Blake to Nashville, and it's a really good book to catch the insights of his early days. I'm at the point now where we're reading about the Saturday Night Live and Meet and Gwen, and I'm like, okay, I was there for that. I'm just rereading this stuff. But the early stuff, there are some funny stories. It's a really well-written book, so if you get a chance, check it out.
I wish you'd have put in the book, though, about Pepper Stone and Crazy Pepper. I think that
mention of Jeff Stone in the book. I think
that could have been a great little piece in the book about how she almost had to come in and kick me off the whole website of Blake Shelton. I think that would have been a great little twist in the book. That's just me, though.
Well, yeah.
You know, but no, I heard that it was a really good book, and I haven't read it or anything. I might sit down and read it and see what it's all about, because I'm like you. You know what? I'd have to go back. I'd want to hear everything from the time he moved to Nashville to 2002.
Yeah.
Because I pretty much was there from forward of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, and maybe I wasn't there, you know, hanging on to Blake's hand or whatever, but I heard enough what was going on.
Of course. Yeah.
So,
and it's by no means a tell-all book.
Okay.
You're not going to read juicy details about the divorces and all that other stuff.
I wonder if he'd let me do the book of tell-all.
No.
If I could write it.
You could do it, but it would have to be, you have to like use aliases.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could do the Pepper Stone Crazy Pepper thing.
You could do that.
Nobody
would
the
whole
know.
Book.
Yeah, nobody would know.
Exactly.
So we could do that. Me and you could write that one.
Oh, it's already written.
That'd be a lot of fun to sit down and do that.
Yep.
All right. I know you got to get going. And with the tour coming up and everything, I know one of the big things you're worried about. And don't worry about it. It'll all work out. Don't worry about me coming. I'll get there. I'll get to one of the shows. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
right?
believe me, I know.
I know that bothers you, that you have to worry about what I'm doing and what's up, what show I'm coming to and all that kind of stuff.
And then the
Don't worry.
wandering around and the guests that you bring and all this.
No, I'm slowed down now. So, I mean, it's not going to be much wandering around. So
Yeah, okay.
I got shoulder problems and stuff like that. So there won't be much, just going around.
I'm just going to like tether you to something so you can't go far.
All right.
Like you put Bella when you take her outside, you put her on a leash. I'm going to put you on a leash.
Just do me a favor. If you're going to do that, put me closer to you, though, so that I don't have to look at you and be worried about you looking over your drum set, trying to find me, and then making mistakes. Because I don't like it when you make mistakes.
Well, if I got you tethered, you'll be fine.
Okay, that's all I worry about.
Maybe I'll just put you behind me on the stage.
There you go.
And that'd be awesome. You just wheel around on the stage at random. That'd be kind of cool.
Anyway, don't I?
Yeah, but you'd be just doing it in front of people. It'd be awesome. We'll make some ramps, make sure you can get up there and get down and stuff. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, you'd left me out. If you'd leave me up there, and then we'd hear, "Hey, was somebody come get me?"
Hey, man, gonna get me.
So, all right, you have a good day. We'll see you next Monday, 1:00 over the line. Every Monday, 1 p.m. Central, 2:00 Eastern. Come and join us. Tell your friends. Get on here and talk to us. All right, we want you to be involved with us. Well, even I've always talked about doing the link and being able to come on live with us. We'll do it. I want get some people here, and we'll do the links, and you guys can come on and ask us questions. You can come on and put whatever you want into this whole little thing we're doing. And just remember, Tracy and I do this to me. We're really just doing it for ourselves.
Yeah, pretty
much. All it is. And the ones that watch, that's great. We appreciate you and everything else. But we really do this because we're bored.
Yeah,
and
we're entertaining ourselves.
Yeah, this is a good Monday, Monday thing to do, and so that's what we do. So we appreciate it, and we'll be back next week to talk about the Super Bowl and what's going to be happening. Can I even say Super Bowl on this? I don't even know if I can.
Who cares? Nobody's watching.
We'll be talking about the big game coming up.
Yeah, we can say, hey, the best thing we could do is get in trouble for saying Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then the thing is, that
means people are watching and censors are watching.
We'll be able to talk about the Pro Bowl
weekend. That's going to be fun. The flag football competition.
Which is ridiculous, but we'll talk about that next week. All right. You have a good one. All right. Talk to you soon,
man. Later.
All right.